You know, for centuries, when you think of an artist's studio, you imagine this messy, physical place, right? The smell of oil paint, the scratch of charcoal on paper. But what happens when that entire studio goes digital? Today, we're going to dive into a piece of software that's designed to bridge that very gap, and honestly, the results are pretty mind-blowing. First off, just take a look at this. Really look at it. Notice how that neon light just bleeds onto the wet pavement, the texture of the rain, the thick gobs of paint. I mean, it's got all the hallmarks of a classic Impressionist oil painting, right? But appearances can be deceiving.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Was this painted with a real brush on a canvas, or was it made with a stylus on a screen? And man, those lines are getting blurrier every single day, which brings us to a huge challenge a lot of artists face.
And that really gets to the heart of the problem. For so many artists who trained with traditional tools, the digital world can feel kind of flat, sterile even. It's often missing that tangible quality, that physical depth and texture that really makes a painting feel alive. And that's a real roadblock for artists trying to bring their skills into the digital age. So the big question is, how do you actually translate the soul of a physical canvas into ones and zeros? That's the puzzle we're going to unpack, and it leads us straight to our main subject.
We'll meet Corel Painter. Sure, it's a digital art application, but its whole mission is something really special. It's designed to meticulously, painstakingly simulate the experience of using traditional media. We're talking oils, watercolors, charcoal, pastels, the whole shebang.
And this quote right here, it just sums up the whole philosophy perfectly. Painter isn't trying to reinvent art. It's actually looking for traditional artists. Its entire design is like a bridge, built specifically to say, welcome to people who already know their way around a real-world studio.
This brings us to where Painter's design is just fundamentally different. It's not just another program with a bunch of tools, it's an entire environment built from the ground up for artists who have that classical training.
And if you take a step back and look at the history, digital art has been on this long journey. I mean, it started way back in 1964 with a program called Sketchpad. Then in the 80s, computers started popping up in art schools. But the goal has been shifting. We've moved from just making lines and shapes to today, where the ultimate aim is a perfect simulation of reality. And that right there is the key difference. Painter doesn't want to replace the artist studio. It wants to recreate it digitally. The idea is to give you all the familiar tools you love, but without any of the physical limits. Think about it. Infinite paint, an undo button for that one brushstroke you regret, and you can even mix media in ways that would be physically impossible. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so that all sounds great, but how does it actually do it? How does it replicate that feeling of a brush hitting a canvas? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and look at the tools themselves.
All right, so every piece of art has to start somewhere, right? And a lot of the time, it's with a simple sketch. What you're seeing here is the artist using a digital 2B pencil. The software is built to make these first, faint gestural lines feel just like putting a real pencil to a fresh sheet of paper.
And from there, the artist just starts building on those first marks, defining the form. See the difference in the line weights? That's because the software is reacting to how hard the artist is pressing with the stylus, giving you the exact same nuance and control you'd get from a real pencil.
And boom, here's the finished sketch. Just look at it, the shading, the fine details, those subtle contours. You'd swear this was a traditional graphite drawing. It's proof that you can absolutely capture that authentic, hand-drawn feel in a digital medium.
Now this is where it gets really wild. This slide connects the tool directly to the result. On the left, that's the brush creator for watercolors. You can tweak everything. The wetness of the brush, how much paint it picks up, even how the paint diffuses into the digital paper. And on the right, that's what you get, a beautiful portrait with all the soft bleeding edges of real watercolor.
So what about mixing colors? Instead of just giving you a boring old color wheel, Painter has this virtual mixer pad. Artists can literally squish their digital paints together right here, just like they would on a physical palette, to find that perfect shade before ever touching the canvas.
So, okay, it absolutely nails the tools in the paint. But what about the surface you're painting on? This takes us right back to that core problem we talked about, digital art feeling flat.
Well, this is Painter's answer. Check this out. On the left, you've got this whole menu of surfaces to choose from. Rough charcoal paper, gessoed canvas, Italian watercolor paper, and on the right, you see exactly how much that choice matters. Look at the texture in those mountains and clouds. It feels like it has a real physical presence. See, it's all about simulating physicality. It's about making it feel real. You've got paper grain that actually grabs the pigment. You have impasto brushes that let you build up thick 3D paint strokes. Pressure sensitivity makes the brush react to your hand, and watercolors bleed and dry in a way that feels totally natural. Every single feature is there to add that depth that's so often missing.
The theory is great, but hey, the proof is in the painting, right? So let's just look at a few finished pieces, all created entirely inside Corel Painter, to see the incredible range you can get with this approach.
First up, a piece of epic fantasy art. I mean, this just shows you the sheer power of the software for creating these huge, atmospheric landscapes. The detail is incredible, from that looming castle all the way to the mist rolling through the distant mountains. And now for something completely different. This is an impressionist portrait that really shows off how delicate and almost unpredictable the watercolor tools can be. Look at the soft edges, the way the colors bleed into each other. It has this beautiful, organic feel that you'd swear was done on paper. And here we are, right back where we started. This piece, this is the painting from the very beginning. And yup, you guessed it, it was created digitally in Corel Painter. But now that you know how the software simulates light and texture and wetness, you can see exactly how this stunning, moody scene was brought to life.
So at the end of the day, that's really the big takeaway here. Corel Painter isn't trying to make traditional art obsolete. Its whole goal is to take all the skill, all the knowledge, all the technique from centuries of art and just give it a new home. A canvas that is truly limitless. One where the paint never dries out unless you want it to. Where every color in the world is instantly at your fingertips, and where you can experiment with zero risk.
And it leaves you with a really fascinating thought, doesn't it? As these digital tools get so good they can perfectly mimic the physical world, does that line between canvas and screen even matter anymore? It really makes you wonder what the next generation of artists will create when that line disappears completely.